Hungry dogs run fast.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome into my dog's favorite podcast, the Dynasty Dogs, brought to you by the Fantasy Football Universe. I am your host for this evening, Michael Anthony. Alongside me, as always, is the shark in the water at your local thrift store, Rich McAteer. You can find him at Dynasty Dog Rich. How are you, Rich?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Especially after the tush push gets to stable. We'll get to talk about that in a second. But with us tonight is our good friend, the mastermind behind the Dynasty DNA empire that he's building. You can call him Darth Sidious almost. We have TJ Blake. How are you, TJ?
I'm doing good, Mike. I'm doing good. I appreciate the introduction. You know, my only thing is, like, you still call me Darth Sidious because I'm a Quinshon Junkins fan. Let's be honest. I know what you're leaning into there, but I'm happy to join you guys. Always love coming on the Dynasty Dogs. Like I said, I mean, you guys have it going on over here. I don't listen to many podcasts outside of my own because I don't got a lot of time. I always listen to yours. You guys do a great job, so I'm excited to hop in here with you guys today.
We really appreciate it. I do call you Darth Sidious because you do happen to be the puppet master behind everything, you know, playing both sides of the coin. You like to put Quinshon Judkins up against a running back that you know I'm not gonna pick. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I got to take the worst possible option. We got a lot to go over tonight. What we're going to be doing is, so first of all, I want to mention we are going to be doing a free hat giveaway at the end of this. We have a wheel set up. We are going to allow people to enter. We're going to do that at the very end. If you'd like to enter the free hat giveaway, just let us know in the chat here. We'll add your name to the wheel, and we'll do that at the very end. Next couple things, we got a That Bite segment, our news and notes segment. And then the fun part of this is going to be, we are going to be making our cases for buying certain players. So what we're going to be doing is, say, for instance, I'm going to be saying, I would like to buy this wide receiver, make my case for it. And my jury of peers here in Rich and TJ are going to decide whether this is a good buy, a bad buy, or tell me goodbye, basically. And we'll see how it goes from there. We got wide receivers and tight ends additions. Are you guys excited for this?
I'm so excited.
100%.
I had to do.
Like I said,
I
said it, Rich. I said it on the Dynasty DNA podcasting network. I said, I got to bring my A game. I know how you guys are out there in Philly. It's a tough battle. I got to have all the evidence, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Are you excited for this, brother? I can't wait to break it down.
Dude, so I had all this stuff written down, ready to go. I still have it saved in my notes, multi-paragraphs. So we are going to we're going to be good. You're just going to have to listen to me read off of my teleprompter stuff.
But I wish this was like Bruce Almighty. I wish this could be like Bruce Almighty, where I could hack into the teleprompter.
I love one of my favorite parts of a movie.
Real quick, we just want to say hi to Jamie, one of the Fantasy Football Universe's best friends we have here, always in the chats, always watching our episodes. We really appreciate you. And then the Debbie Planet, it's either got to be our good friend SC or our good friend Spencer. So how are you guys doing? But let's get into this, the news and notes segment we got here. Let me hit the old graphic, and I cannot find it. Oh, I did. Here we go. So first things first, Rich hates when I do that.
Just do it. Just don't even tell everyone. Just
well, the thing is, I got to tell myself to do it. I got to tell myself to do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to, is the problem. I am the host with the worst, basically. So what we're going to do right now is go over the news and notes. Last week, Derrick Henry signed a 2-year, $30 million contract. How are you guys feeling on his dynasty value right now? 2 years, $30 million seems like a pretty penny for a guy who's in his 30s. TJ, we'll start with you as the guest.
Well, let me say this, Mike. You know how Ty feels on the Dynasty DNA network about Derrick Henry. I got a text that said, this is what royalty deserves. So, you know, he's all happy about it. And to be honest with you, look, Derrick Henry's a unicorn. I keep saying it. We all expect him to fall off. He never really does. And I think, honestly, just the move to Baltimore rejuvenated him, right? I mean, perfect fit in that offense. given just the fact that he can plunge in these touchdowns from short yardage, he's still got that little bit of explosiveness in his game. I'm going to say probably another 2 years, I wouldn't be shocked. I know we're going to get a good year this year, maybe the following year. So I'm not too afraid or scared off of Derrick Henry. And I think, honestly, for Baltimore, it's a pretty wise move. I think that was a great fit, and I think it helps their offense. So I want to see some more Derrick Henry.
Rich, what do you think of Derrick Henry?
Yeah, you know what? I agree. I like the unicorn reference. Derrick Henry has been like ran into the ground. He has got a lot of use out of his legs and kind of seems to keep pushing forward. I kind of think last year was the kind of, resurgence of the older running backs. You've seen obviously here Saquon, you see Derrick Henry and what he's doing. So whereas I guess 2 years ago, you'd kind of be scared off once they hit 27, 28 years old. Now, so much, I think these are guys you can kind of almost go out and target because we haven't seen a fall off. I mean, last year we seen obviously Saquon run for 2,000. He's hit the dreaded age of 27. So I think it's we're kind of seeing a resurgence with the older running backs.
And it's funny you mentioned that because Derrick Henry was the second most rushing yards in the league, if I'm not mistaken, last year, just behind Saquon. By the dip on Derrick Henry due to his age, honestly, I don't think there's a dip in his dynasty value. I don't think, to me, Derrick Henry at this point, especially with a 2-year, $30 million contract, is going to be one of those guys who is just going to end on my roster. He is not going anywhere, especially if I have Derrick Henry. I'm trying to win right now, right? I'm going to make these next 2 years as good as possible for me because he is not going anywhere. I can't get rid of him. I will just let him, fade off into the sunset on my roster as the king he is. But do you think he still has running back one potential? Because I still do. I still think he could finish in the top 12. We'll start with you, Rich. What do you think?
Yeah, I do, because the even balance, I think, with Lamar Jackson running the ball and Derrick Henry running the ball. Like I said earlier, he had a lot of tread taken off his tires in Tennessee. Here, it's going to kind of be spread out because Lamar likes to run the ball. So, running back one until I see otherwise.
TJ.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I honestly think you could count on top 7. And another great thing about Derrick Henry is, when has he ever been hurt? I mean, this guy's always available. I mean, always. So, if you want to go out and trade a first as a contender for Derrick Henry, it's a slam dunk because he's going to be there. It's consistency, and he always takes care of his body in the offseason. I mean, he always does. He spends money on that kind of stuff, which is wise. And you look at our division, the AFC North. Who's going to stop him? 6 games against the Browns, who can't stop the run very well. 6 games against the Bengals, who are terrible on defense. And 6 games against the Steelers, he absolutely gashed us last year. Now we bring in Harmon, the nose tackle defensive lineman. But, I mean, still, it's going to be a work in progress. We're not going to stop him next year either. So, Derrick Henry in an easy division as far as being able to chew up these rushing yards, always healthy. I love it, man. I say top 7, almost a slam dunk.
Yeah, Jamie here also, I popped it up on the screen, says top 5. I said top 12 to make it like a safe conversation. Yeah. This is a safe place. I could definitely see him in that top 5 range, especially with the amount of times he just happens to fall into the end zone, right? He's a guy like you don't think has these long runs, but then every once in a while he runs for like a 75-yarder out of nowhere. I can't get enough of, I just bought him this offseason. I forget what exactly the trade is, but, now I have a tandem of Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. I'm riding it till the wheels fall off.
You have to on that point.
Yeah, you really have to. I'm going running back by committee on a dynasty roster on that one. Also to mention Bucky Irving for TJ there is also on that roster. So I'm really going running back strong there.
Let me mention something real quick. When people kind of get like scared off by the older running backs and, I got to trade them off because I need to get draft picks back. A lot of times you can, if you do some research, you're going to hit later in the drafts with running backs. Like my roster now, when was it? Last year, the year before, I picked up Kyron Williams. I picked him up off waivers. I drafted Bucky Irving in the 3rd or 4th round. These are guys that are obviously having great seasons. You don't need to freak out and have to have, the Ashton Genty at number 1. Or your roster falls off. You can find guys later in the draft that will step into your starting lineup, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I give you credit for that, Rich, for saying that, because look, this year especially, I got a ton of Jordan James. I got a ton of Jarquez Hunter. Remember, guys, I'm getting late all the time, And I'm telling you, there's going to be a role for them guys at some point.
Sure, absolutely.
I liked I know we're going off topic, but I really liked Jarquez Hunter as like kind of like a dart throw pre-draft, and then he got that 4th round capital, which is nice. And then he gets like the end of 3rd, 4th round, draft pick capital and dynasty drafts, and I'm like, wow, I'm just drafting him everywhere at this point. I didn't expect that. I thought I was going to have maybe a couple here and there, but like I almost have like 50% exposure if I'm not mistaken. So it's pretty crazy to think. Next bit of news here. Derrick Carr retires. It looks like, unless you're SC, Tyler Shuck is going to be the starter for the New Orleans Saints. SC kind of believes that Spencer Rattler might win that job. I'm not in that camp. I think Tyler Shuck is the leaps and bounds better quarterback right now. If you would have asked me this 3 years ago, Spencer Rattler would have been the guy, being the 5-star prospect and all that stuff, but his career trajectory has gone downhill since. I kind of like Tyler Shuck. Not going to go out and spend like, early 2nd round capital on him in dynasty drafts, not 1st round for sure, not 1st round. But I talked about this on this podcast several times. The second he starts, having some solid games, he is a prime sell contender. A prime sell candidate as soon as he starts throwing 2 touchdowns with 1 interception, maybe rushes for a touchdown. What do you think about Tyler Shuck in this offense? We'll start with you, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, look, I mean, I'm not a big overly Shuck lover because, look, let's just be honest. I mean, he's a guy that has had his fair share of injury troubles throughout his college career, and the Saints aren't a team that really insulate and protect him. But let me just say, going back to the point that you made, Mike, and you were right on the money there, like, as soon as he starts, he's going to be worth something. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you drafted him late in your dynasty rookie drafts, and I'm a big proponent, I know how Rich said about taking running backs. Yes, I'm all for that. Take quarterbacks as well, because I mean, especially guys that are day 2 picks. I mean, they're going to get an opportunity. I have a ton of Jalen Milroe. He's another guy that I think is going to get a chance in Seattle behind Sam Darnold. I've been kind of preaching that at some point here. So yeah, I mean, Tyler Shuck's going to be worth something. And you know what's great about that? I mean, you're going to have a team in your league that has a quarterback go down that needs another quarterback, and then you're in a position of strength, and then you're going to get maximum value for a guy, and you could turn around and flip him. Maybe you get a running back you need. Maybe you get a receiver that you need. Sure, you might not get the best on the market, but that's going to be able to get you something that you need in place of a quarterback that you're going to turn and burn. But like overall confidence in Shuck, I mean, I just don't see it long-term in New Orleans. I think that they're going to draft quarterback again next year because I think they're going to be in for a real rough season. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, I definitely agree with you, Mike, and that's a good point. Like, capitalize on it when he does get the opportunity, because I think he will. And I'm like you, I don't see Spencer Rattler the answer either.
Yeah, and I like how they kind of address the offensive line the past 2 drafts, because that is a decrepit offensive line in New Orleans. Rich, what do you think of, let's go with this question for you. What do you think of Derek Carr's retirement? How are you going to remember him as a quarterback and as a fantasy player?
Man, you know what? I was kind of taken aback by him retiring. I didn't kind of expect that. I always thought he was like this close to being really good. He's kind of like him and Kirk Cousins to me are in the same tier in terms of fantasy football. They're like middle of the road guys. They're not really great, but they'll get you the points that you need. In terms of a football player in general, I thought he was, like I said, that close to actually being decent. But he went from one shit team to another shit team, and then from there, it's kind of like, well, do I really come back? Because I think he's seen he read the tea leaves there in New Orleans, which is going to be a monstrosity, I think.
Probably for a little while.
Our guy Kellen Moore, I mean, he got his ring and bounced down to there. But in terms of Shuck, I think you guys are right on. He's a little bit more seasoned. What is he, like 37 years old? He just came out of
25, I think 26.
He's an old man. But I think more importantly, he's the guy that Kellen Moore picked. So I think he's Kellen Moore's guy. So I think, although they say it's an open competition, I think he has the leg up because he is the guy that Kellen Moore picked. So,
which is funny because he goes in from being an early 2nd round pick to replacing Derek Carr, who was the 2nd round pick, if I'm not mistaken, just several hundred years ago now. It feels like. I'm excited to see what Shuck can look like. He is a guy with a big arm, kind of like what Jamie says here. I want to see what him and Chris Olave can look like, because a guy, Chris Olave, can stretch the field. I think that would be, if he could stay healthy, if he's not getting these medicine balls thrown by Derek Carr, we might have something. So that remains to be seen. But we got to get to the big topic here. Brock Purdy, 5 years, $265 million, now making more than Lamar, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Herbert. Rich, we'll start with you on this. Is he worth that money?
Hell no, he's not worth that money. Come on, man. This is the way of the quarterback. It is what it is. He's going to get paid that way because that's the trajectory of it. Is he worth it? No. He's got MVP votes. He did go to a Super Bowl, so it's like it kind of like on paper looks like he is, but in my opinion, no.
So if you were starting an NFL franchise today, would Brock Purdy be your pick over the three quarterbacks that I mentioned? Hurts,
who did you say
Lamar,
again?
and Herbert.
No.
Yeah, would be the last.
And I'm not too crazy about Herbert, but I'm taking Herbert over him for sure.
TJ, what do you think about that? I know you're the Purdy guy here, probably.
Look, I support Brock Purdy just because of the system, right? But I agree with Rich. I mean, as far as a talent perspective, if I'm starting a team, them guys are all more talented than Brock Purdy as far as their overall athleticism, skill, and throwing the football. But it's just the fact that he found himself in the right position, right? And like, I agree. I don't think he's really worth that money either, but he's worth it to the 49ers because it fits what they want to do. But I will say this, this does help insulate his dynasty value some now. Like, I was really worried, like, if something happened some way he left the 49ers and say he ended up on a New Orleans, it could have been a total train wreck. So the fact that he stays with the 49ers, it's going to help insulate him as more of that solid quarterback two-ish type of guy that can hit them quarterback one numbers when the 49ers are absolutely rolling. So it's just knowing what you're going to get with Brock Purdy. He's not a guy that you're going to win your league with, but if you have a Josh Allen, if you have one of these big guys at the top of the board, right? Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, a lot of them guys you mentioned, if you have them and you pair Brock Purdy with them, I feel really good about that.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with let's go this way. I'm going to ask you some of the player or quarterbacks that he's around according to Keep Trade Cut. We'll start with this one. Bo Nix, TJ. Who would you rather have?
I think I'm going to still lean Brock Purdy there. Look, I'm really happy with what Bo Nix did. I think he fit Sean Payton like a glove. But I mean, still, it's one season, right? And I say it all the time with a lot of these teams. You're not sneaking up on anybody next year, Denver. I mean, like, everyone's going to be ready for them. The 49ers are still that machine with Kyle Shanahan. They got a lot better weapon cabinet. I mean, I know it's getting a little bit older, but they still could restock it in the next couple of years. I mean, what do we got out in Denver? I mean, we got the new running back. We got Cortland Sutton. But outside of that, there's not much there. So if I'm going to put my chips on a team that I want to bet on more, it's going to be the 49ers. So I will stick with Brock Purdy. And that AFC West getting tougher, man. It seems like it gets tougher every year.
I noticed how you mentioned new running back there. That is Prince Harvey, by the way. RJ Harvey is the running back for the Denver Broncos. Rich, we'll go with this one for you. JJ McCarthy or Brock Purdy?
That's kind of easier for me. I'm going to go Purdy as well. Just because JJ McCarthy is kind of the unknown, right? We don't know really what we're going to get. This is essentially his rookie season. He could, take off like gangbusters, but is that likely? Do you go with maybe taking a gamble on that could happen? Or do you go with Purdy, who, like we've been saying, he's not exactly a one, but you know what you're getting with him. And I think I'd go with the consistency and the numbers that we know we're getting rather than the unknown.
Yeah. For those two guys that I just mentioned, Bo and JJ, Purdy would be right in the middle of those two. I'd have Bo ahead of him. I know how you mentioned, people are going to have film on Bo Nix in Denver now. Rich preaches that almost weekly here when it comes to players, film out there now. Coaches have time to get ready for these players now a year in advance. Bo Nix has a rushing upside, though, right? Bo Nix still has Sean Payton as an offensive coordinator, which, we've seen him. I'm not comparing Drew Brees to Bo Nix by any stretch of the imagination, but if you want a quarterback to play like a Drew Brees, Bo Nix would fit that mold, in my opinion. He has an offense that's growing, in my opinion. You got Evan Ingram now, who's a big addition, in my opinion. You have Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, who, shout out to the Dynasty DNA.
You love Marvin Mims. So
I got to
much.
shout out Muscles here, a fellow Marvin Mimsman. We are big. We are the treasurer and the vice president of the Marvin
the only
Mims
two
fan
Marvin
club.
Mims fans that there are.
No, listen, he's got it's growing. We're taking time here. We're gonna get it going. But they got RJ Harvey now too. They got Pac Bryan in the 3rd round, which kind of feels like a Cortland Sutton replacement almost. Maybe in a year or two. I kind of like what Denver is doing as an offense, as a scheme, and I was not Rich and I, and actually I believe you, TJ, as well. We're never Bo leavers, right?
Mm-mm.
We were never in on Bo pre-draft or anything like that. I think you weren't, TJ, if I'm not mistaken. I know Rich wasn't.
Well, we talked about Bo a little bit, and I mean, I remember saying about the tape, like, yeah, okay, we like this guy, but like we just thought he had a limited ceiling. And really, in a way, I mean, we didn't love him. We just said he was okay, and I think that he was going to be more of a journeyman type guy, but he obviously is flourishing into more. But you look at all the guys you mentioned, J.J. McCarthy, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix, you can make an argument. They're all system type quarterbacks, right? I mean, like anyone in Minnesota is a system quarterback. Like, so I don't blame Rich as far as like him taking Brock Purdy over J.J. McCarthy, because I could see a very similar outcome. And like he said, we know what we have in Brock Purdy. So it's really interesting, though, with Bo Nix. I think that one's definitely a little closer to me, and I don't blame you for going that route, Mike. It's just that I think I believe in the Kyle Shanahan 49er machine just a little bit more, and I think that's why I lean that way.
As we have Rich vanishing into the darkness, I had one more question.
I had my back door open and the moth got in.
I saw that ADHD kick in for a second. I was like,
I'm not going to be able to stop looking it around.
The Mothman.
I have one more player for you guys, and I want to ask Rich this one. We'll start with him. Trevor Lawrence or Brock Purdy?
Oh, boy, my boy. He's one of the guys that I'm going to go down with the ship. Dude, I'm going to say one more year. Trevor Lawrence is going to be top 10 quarterback one more time. After this, I'm done. You can't really build any more around the guy. You're giving him weapons after weapon after weapon. This year, I think, is kind of the end-all be-all prove it year. We got that little creepy weirdo down there with the Duval. We seen this. We'll see what he can do. I don't know what the hell his name is. I don't remember. But what is it?
Liam Cohen.
Okay, we're gonna give him one more chance. And then after that, they might be in for it down there in Jacksonville. I don't know. They paid him, so it's kind of like do they get rid of him and do the Carson Wentz like what they did with what we did here? I don't know. It's gonna get rough down there for my boy.
Yeah, it's almost like pissing in a hot sauce bottle, man. That's dangerous works right there. TJ, who do you got there in that one?
I think I got to go with Brock Purdy there. I mean, look, it's okay, Rich. I mean, a lot of us got fooled by Trevor Lawrence. It's just that I bailed off that ship, man. I mean, like, I just don't I don't hate Trevor Lawrence. I just think he is what he is. He's a quarterback too, and they keep trying to do things to try to make it better for him. And I just, again, who do you trust more, Jacksonville or San Francisco? I think that's what it comes down to me, So that's why I'm going that direction. But I mean, look, the weapons are appetizing. They're starting to try to do things. I mean, they're bringing in high explosive players and Travis Hunter, Bayshall, Tootin, guys that can motor, can do things. So they're trying to get some kind of life into this offense, man. That's what they need to do. But I've always said it about Trevor Lawrence, and I've said it on a lot of the Dynasty DNA shows. I think the one thing that hurts him is he lacks the killer instinct. Like, he just go with the flow. Everything's going to be all right. It's a chill surfer dude. That's what he reminds me of. So that's why I'm going with Purdy. But, I mean, again, we'll see. Hopefully Lawrence can get it going on. He needs to. And I like what you said about, like, the Wentz thing. Do they move on off Trevor Lawrence? It's a possibility at some point.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on the Triple Threat podcast, maybe, TJ. It might have been. This is it for me with Trevor Lawrence. I kind of gave him a reprieve last year. It was supposed to be it for me last year, but he got hurt. Can't really hold that against them. Things like that happen. But if you are the generational talent you've been propped up to be, you have to show me something at this point. He hasn't done shit, to be honest, as of right now. But I think it's time to get into our making our case for buying wide receivers and tight ends edition. Let's hope this works. I hope everybody can hear this other than us three. So I'm going to
Here he goes. Telling us what he's about to do again. Here he goes. This fucking guy.
In the Dynasty-based system, having bad traits is considered especially heinous. In the fantasy football universe, a dynamic duo called the Dynasty Dogs is here to help you win your leagues. These are their theories.
I hope that played for
In the
everybody. Or
Dynasty-based
there's
system,
oh,
having
it's still
bad
playing.
traits is considered especially heinous.
Let's hope that it just wasn't a couple minutes of awkward silence there for everybody. So we are going to be making our cases now. I will start us off first with my first wide receiver buy. Ladies and gentlemen of the Dynasty jury, Richard and TJ here. I am going to make the case for buying wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, Zay Flowers. Currently, right now, in Keep Trade Cut, he is worth the 1.9, 1.10 range of outcomes for pricing wise. I love that for him, to be honest with you. I think that's a fair price point. I think that's pretty cheap for what you could be getting. If RJ Harvey is not on the board for me, I'm willing to make that flip to get a wide receiver 2, a high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2 on my roster that can help me win right now. Some things I really like about Zay Flowers. You know, we just talked about how much we love Derrick Henry, how much they love running the football, how much Lamar runs the football, right? Would it surprise you if I told you guys that Zay Flowers was, let me see exactly what it is, 21st in targets and 22nd in receptions in the league? For a team that has Lamar and Derrick Henry running the football, that's pretty impressive in my opinion. Zay Flowers, really creative route runner, electric as a route runner, an electric after the catch type threat too, with 6.3 yards after the catch, 14th in the league. A very solid 2.25 yards per route run last year. Very efficient in my opinion. Some trades that I have, and I think TJ is going to agree with this one. Ken Walker for Zay Flowers. Who do you got?
Easy Zay Flowers.
Rich?
I would have to go Zay Flowers as well.
Marvin Mims and David Montgomery for Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, because I like David Montgomery as far as like putting up contention, pounding in touchdown type running back numbers, but his days are short. I mean, it is a running back and we're getting a receiver. That's a smart dynasty play in my opinion. And I do not believe in Marvin Mims. Muscles isn't here to defend him. So I don't believe in Marvin Mims.
I think Zay Flowers is one of those guys that, you know, you could plug in your wide receiver 3 spot, maybe even at times your wide receiver 2 spot, and you're going to be pretty comfortable with him just plugging and playing. He's going to give you a 12 to 15 point game per week, in my opinion. He was 12.3 last year. We've seen the explosive games out of him where he absolutely takes over a game when Lamar is throwing it down the sideline, and we've seen Lamar last year look better throwing the football that I think we've seen throughout his career, in my opinion. I think Zay Flowers is on the road to having a third-year breakout, and I think it's time we get in on him now before maybe he ends up in that, 1.6, 1.8 range. If I can get him for the 1.10 right now, I'm all over that. Gentlemen of the jury, yay or nay on this one? We'll start with you, Rich.
And what are we offering? You say 110 for him? Is that what we're going on? Because I didn't come up with any.
No, you don't have to.
trades.
So
Okay.
basically, what I'm saying is, are you yay or naying buying Zay Flowers?
For 110, I had one. So this last draft, I had 111. I think I would go probably Flowers, to add another, explosive piece to my roster rather than, for instance, I went Jackson Dart for a project. Kind of waiting on to see what happens. I think Zay Flowers is a good move. You have nothing but the ceiling to go. So, yeah.
If he is a guy who just finishes as like a wide receiver 2 every single year, kind of like what I've always said it about him, and I say it about Ladd McConkey. Those two type of wide receivers to me are just perennial wide receiver 2s. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I prop them up in my ranks a little bit compared to other wide receivers, because the best thing about Dynasty is when you have consistent play throughout the years. That's one of the most important things. And I think Zay Flowers could be that guy. I just, we're right on the right track here. TJ, yay or nay? Oh, sorry, Rich, go ahead. You have something real quick?
No, I just think the only, maybe downside would be being in Baltimore. Lamar likes to run the ball. Obviously, we just talked about Derrick Henry. So that would be a deterrent for me. But, with the numbers that you provided a strong case.
Thank you, Richard. TJ, yay or nay?
Calling me my damn government name.
Before I give my answer, first thing I'm going to say is, Mike, I hope that Wiz has not corrupted your mind, because we know he is a Baltimore Ravens fan. So let me just say this tampering, like we're talking about courtroom, is this tampering of the evidence? I mean, is Wiz involved in this? Because we know he has a Zay Flowers jersey in the background of his studio when we do the Triple Threat show. That is rang in Mike's head. There's tampering going on, Mike. Is there tampering or is there not?
If I am agreeing with Wiz on anything, you need to send someone to my house to check on me, because he's probably behind my computer holding my family hostage or something.
Yes, but let me say this. I had to get that little bit in because I know you love that, because you guys very rarely agree on things. But yes, I mean, for 110, 111, I don't mind that at all. And you laid it out beautifully, Mike. I say that a lot as well. Like, if he's a wide receiver too, what's wrong with that? But just know what you're getting, right? But why I agree with it is because, look, there's some guys down there in your rookie drafts, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris. Like, I like those players, but you're hoping that they just turn into wide receiver twos. I mean, for them guys to be wide receiver ones, yes, it's possible, but it's really a stretch to me. I mean, yeah, maybe they do it once in their career or something, but you're talking more consistent wide receiver two plays, what you're hoping for. You're guaranteed to get that out of Zay Flowers, right? I mean, it's almost automatic. You mentioned it. I mean, look at the targets and receptions. I mean, what'd you say, 21st, 22nd? Yeah. Well, bingo, right there. We're talking wide receiver two numbers, and we don't even see a lot of touchdowns out of this guy. So I like that call, Mike. And again, like I said, just know what you're getting. But if you are a contender and you need some receiver help, maybe you need an extra player in that flex spot, he is great for that.
What would be the cutoff draft pick wise for you, for TJ? For me, it'd probably be the 1-9.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Probably the 1-9. I mean, it could be the 1-8, depending on who's on the board.
I could get a third back.
Yeah. Like maybe you get something a little bit back, or if there was a player there that I really wanted, and let's say he goes at 107 and I don't love anyone else, like you can make an argument for 108, but 109 I feel is like real good. That's probably where I would cut it off at.
Rich?
Yeah, I would go 1-8, 1-9 as well, just because the way the board would fall. If someone that I loved fell in my lap, of course, I'm going to stay there. But yeah, around 1-8, 1-9.
Well, we got our first agreement, gentlemen. Thank you for that. I'm glad I pleaded my case well. TJ, we'll go with you second. Who was your first wide receiver by?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury of Philadelphia. I mean, this is a lopsided court. We didn't go over the witnesses. Like my lawyer did a lousy job there. But let me say this. I'm coming over here to you, Mike, because I know you're probably going to disagree with me. You didn't want to drop the A-bomb. I'm going to drop it right now. I'm going to go with Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, I know this is a gamble. A lot of people are talking about it being a gamble, but let me just provide a little bit of my theory into why I'm buying Rashee Rice. Look, right now, in my opinion, I think he's the best wide receiver in this class if he was on the board. I mean, just cut and dry. I mean, let's just put the injury aside. If he was fully healthy, I think he's the best wide receiver in this class. Then we go into the fact that Patrick Mahomes loves to target this guy. When he's healthy, he's targeting the crap out of him. Last year, he played 4 games. I mean, it was looking like he was going to get a couple wide receiver 1 finishes early. I know he had 1. He was close to another one, 2 out of 4 games. I mean, Xavier Worthy's a guy that I don't believe in as a high-end dynasty asset, right? I think he's more of a best ball guy, but I will say he salvaged a nice career in Kansas City. Like, if he would have went anywhere else, I think it could have been bad, but he fits there nicely. Andy Reid has a plan for him, and I do think they'll utilize him, but Rashee Rice is more of a target hog, target-driven wide receiver. Travis Kelce's getting older. I mean, this could be it for Travis Kelce, so if he walks away, what happens, right? I mean, right now, you could get Rashee Rice for the 107, right? I mean, there's some running backs there. Look, I like Quinshon Judkins. I like Travion Henderson, but we're talking dynasty fantasy football. Very rarely could you get an opportunity to get an alpha receiver, a number 1 on a team like Kansas City for them kind of prices. I know he's coming off that injury, but let's knock on wood here, right? Let's knock on wood a little bit. I mean, he has not gotten into trouble right now whatsoever. I mean, that's another good thing. I mean, I'm glad he's keeping his head on straight because that was a little bit of worry of mine. Seems like he's really getting back and getting healthy. I've seen some videos of him training hard. I really like this guy. I mean, look, I think this is a gamble I'm willing to take on the talent. This draft class does not wow me. I mean, as far as wide receiver talent. So if I miss out, I mean, we talked about it. A lot of wide receiver 2 type guys. I see Rashee Rice being a wide receiver 1, as long as he's healthy. So I will take the gamble here, and I feel good about it just given where Kansas City's at. I think Kansas City could struggle a little bit this year because it's hard to go to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row and not be fatigued and not be kind of wiped out. So maybe he's another good value a little bit later. So give me Rashee Rice for the 107 all day long, and I'll take my gamble and hope that he's that alpha guy that he looked like he was turning into in Kansas City. And another thing, we know Jalen Royals is there. I do like him. That's the only question mark. I mean, Mike, I think you and I can both agree on that. I mean, I said it. If there's a player that reminded me of Rashee Rice in that draft class, it was Jalen Royals. So a guy that Kansas City must have seen that in it also. So, but I'm going to go with Rashee Rice here. I don't know what the Philadelphia jury is going to do here. Are they going to, find me guilty, send me down the river? Let's see.
Rich, you want to start this one off?
So I'd seen the comment that came up. It was I don't remember who it was from. It said wide receiver 18. I definitely don't have him as low as wide receiver 18 below Tet and Hunter. It's difficult for me to kind of make a verdict. We might have a hung jury. I don't know. I did sell him last season, but I kind of regret selling on him just because I do think he's the guy in Kansas City. I do think that he is going to be the number one, but there are a lot of mouths to feed in Kansas City. They did bring in Royals. They have Hollywood Brown coming back. They have Worthy. They have Kelsey at 35 years old. Now, that's not the greatest room, in the world, but there's a lot of mouths to feed there. That could mean one of two things. Does he step up and become that alpha? Like I do think, and I agree with you that he will be. Yeah, I do. But then that injury at the same time. So it's I'm going to say if you can get him and you're a contender, I'd roll the dice. I would roll the dice on getting him. Just because, especially this past season, or if you haven't done your rookie draft yet, there after Tet, who's better? Rashee Rice or any of the guys after Tet? I think I would go with Rice. So
I think I would go Rice.
That way, thinking that way, I think I would take Rice over anyone besides Tet. I don't know. I'm conflicted.
So with me, I would have a tough time taking him over Travion and Travis Hunter. Tet and Judkins, I could agree with you with TJ man, this is tough. Because at the 1-7, I think it's good.
No, I agree with you. I'm saying I know it's tough. It's a tough choice.
Because I do think as of right now, he's the best pass catcher in Kansas City, and he's proven to be a high-value target when healthy with Patrick Mahomes. So it's hard to argue against what we have seen already, right? So TJ, believe it or not, I will actually agree with you on this one, but I'm going to say, go back to my previous argument, I think I'd rather spend a little cheaper and get Zay Flowers than I would spend on Rashee Rice, just because you mentioned Jalen Royals. I think Jalen Royals, if Rashee isn't fully healthy when he comes back, Royals could step in. I think he was better vertically than Rashee Rice, if I'm not mistaken, in my film evaluation of both coming out of college. I think that could be the one thorn in his side, so I like that you mentioned that. But I will agree. I think the 1-7, I think I would do that for Rashee Rice. I think I would be sad because I really think Travion Henderson has the ability to be in our top 12, top 10 running backs, especially with the amount of times I don't think he needs to come off the field or anything like that. I've said that ad nauseum on here. But again, not yet, Jesse. But I think Rashee Rice is a really good buy for that price. So I am going to agree with you, and I think that'll come to a shock to you as well.
I am shocked, but I mean, honestly, it makes good sense, right? And I don't blame you. I know you like Hunter. I mean, I'm not as big on Hunter, but I know you do. So it's all a preference thing, right? And I mean, there is still high athletic upside with Hunter. It's a gamble, just like this is a gamble, but it's all on what you feel. And I mean, I'm like you. Jalen Royals is the big wild card here. I mean, that's the thing. Because I do love the player, and I mean, I was taken a little later than I think he should have went. But, I mean, I don't think there's really anyone else that will stop Rashee Rice. And if it don't happen this year, could be a little slow because of the injury. 2026, I think, the wheels could be really up. So we'll see what happens.
Real quick, we do have a question from Mr. Magic. How do we feel about DK's value right now? Could he be better than last year if A-Rod becomes the quarterback? This is a double-edged sword question here because, one, TJ is a big Steelers fan. Two, Rich hates Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know how this question's going to go with the trio of us here. DK's value. I think
Will Howard all day.
To be honest with you, I would rather the Steelers trot out Will Howard than bring in Aaron Rodgers at this point because they're not ready to compete at all, in my opinion. They need to turn towards the future. And TJ said,
Wait, what do you mean they're not ready to compete? They've been in the playoffs. And what the hell? Mike Tomlin's been in the playoffs for 50 years. Every single season.
They're never like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Like there's no way.
They're competing for pick like 15, 18 in the NFL draft every year.
I don't think DK's value. I could see him. What did he finish last year? That's a good question, real quick. I think he, just based on pure volume alone, I think he could be a top 20 guy just because there really isn't a whole lot of mouths to feed there. Like I kind of like Calvin Austin, but he doesn't scare me off of
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods.
I've been telling you. There's a reason he's been in the league for 50 years.
Roman Wilson, and I think he's just, I never liked his I didn't like his tape at all. We'll go with you, TJ. What do you think about DK?
Look, I mean, I think maybe he can be right around where he was last year. Like he's talented enough. He's a physical freak. And like you said, the volume's going to be there, especially now that George Pickens is gone, right? I mean, like the volume definitely will be there, but like I've said it, and Mike, I've preached it on the Dynasty DNA network. I do not buy Steeler assets, and I'm a Steeler fan. Like it's an archaic system with Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin. We're playing like it's 1990. I mean, we do enough to get into the playoffs, like Rich said. We always have pick 18 to 20. I talked about that on the Dynasty DNA morning shows. People come on there like, the Steelers are looking good. I'm like, don't worry. They're going to falter down the stretch. I'm like, yes, they will. And then sure enough, it happens. But look, I mean, DK Metcalf, I mean, there's going to be a time I think his value will go up again a little bit. And I think you could strike and maybe even get him a little cheaper next year because I think this will be tough. And if it is Aaron Rodgers, and it's looking like Aaron Rodgers from everything I'm hearing and seeing, I mean, we ain't going to be able to protect him. Our offensive line's terrible. I mean, he's a 41-year-old quarterback with a torn Achilles injury who's going to be out there, and we ain't going to be able to keep him upright. So I tend to agree with you guys. I'd rather see Will Howard just based on the fact that, maybe he could be a little bit mobile and do some things, a little youth in that offense. But I could see DK Metcalf being right around where he was last year. What was he, Mike? Was he in the 30s?
Yeah, 30. Where did it just go? 30. What the hell happened there? 34.
34. Yeah. I could see that. I can see it again. It maybe a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to be leaps and bounds better.
I could see 20. I said top 20. I think 24 to 26 maybe feels a little bit better. And in that range, like between wide receiver 34 and 36, like the gap can't be that huge in my opinion. So I think, just based on pure volume alone, probably 24 to 26 feels about right. Rich, what do you think?
Yeah. Kind of dependent on the quarterback, but yeah, we'll see, I guess. I've always been a huge DK fan. I think a change of scenery is kind of nice for him, but I mean, with no one behind under center, who knows?
He might have been better off staying in Seattle with Sam Darnold, the quarterback, to be honest with you. He might have been better off. Rich, let's make your case. Who do you got?
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I kind of went with guys that I liked for contending teams. Guy coming off a wide receiver 7 in PPR, Mr. Iron Man. That'd be Mr. Terry McLaurin.
Oh,
Terry McLaurin has not missed a game since 2020. A guy that I've drafted every single year in redraft every year. He's steady Eddie, gets me between 15 and 18 points a game. A guy who has had more quarterbacks thrown to him than I have no idea. But he's going into his second year with Jaden Daniels, and that I think is going to be huge for him. Finally, a guy they finally get a quarterback who can get him the goddamn ball, who's going to be there for a long time. So if he could do all of that with a Tanner McKee or whoever the hell other guys he had, him and Jaden Daniels, I think is going to be for you to pick up later in, late round picks. I don't think it shouldn't cost you a first for Terry McLaurin. I think he's a guy who can kind of give you the push that you need over the edge to win the championship, in my opinion. 15 to 18 points.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And a guy like myself who lost a fantasy championship dynasty by 0.6, I think he would have set me over the edge. Now, I've always liked Terry McLaurin. He's a guy, like I said, an Iron Man who hasn't missed a game since 2020. He's went through a laundry list of quarterbacks, and he always seems to produce.
Seventh round pick in our latest startup.
Dude, that's a fucking steal.
Yeah, I think so too. I do think you're going to have to give up like the 112 for him.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to. Maybe you can do the 201, but I think the 112 is probably what somebody's going to want, in my opinion. But I do really like this buy. He was a buy for me last year. He's a guy that plays the boundary really well, and we saw Jaden Daniels absolutely just the flick of the wrist throw it down the sidelines coming out of LSU. So I thought this was the perfect match. And, year one with those two together was an absolute masterpiece. And now adding Deebo Samuel, who's going to create some things in the middle of the field. I think this opened things up for Terry down the sideline. And Deebo doesn't really scare me at all, but he's going to draw coverages, right? In my opinion. So I think Terry's in for another really nice year. I like this call by you, Rich.
Real quick, I said Tanner McKay. That's obviously the Eagle Great. I was talking about Mr. Tanner.
You said the Eagle Great? Did you say the Eagle Great?
Well, that's what everyone thinks. No, Taylor Heineke is the guy I was thinking of when they were the Washington football team.
TJ?
Yeah, I mean, I love it for Terry McLaurin. I mean, I think it's a solid buy.
There
Look,
we go.
I say it all the time, and I think that, to your credit, Rich, and Mike brought it up. I mean, Deebo Samuel, some of these other pieces, people are worried about that, right? Maybe there's some people that are getting cold feet on Terry McLaurin. No way. I mean, he'll be just fine. He is a guy that's reliable. He's a guy that's nice to see, not a diva number one wide receiver, right? I mean, he's gone through hell and back in Washington.
And hasn't said anything about it, dude. It's crazy.
The only thing I've ever seen him say, and it just gets shared every so often, it's I'm just running cardio out there at this point. And I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. But go on, dude. I'm sorry. I just love that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, I love the guy too. And honestly, we talked about this, right? Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, I mean, Devontae Adams, these guys still have value. I know they're older, but our goal in Dynasty Fantasy Football is to win, right? So if I'm looking at 112 and I could get any of those guys and I have a team that I know for sure is a true blue blood contender, I will go out and get them because I know what I'm going to get. I mean, yes, it might be short-lived, but it's worth it if I can win the championship, and that's why we play.
Yeah, let's see. I would think 112 is what probably. Yeah, exact. Keep Trade Cut has 112 on the dot as the value for him. And if I'm in a win now of the next 2 to 3 years, like this year, next year, and possibly the year after, I'm taking the swing on Terry there over everybody that's going to be at the 112, whether that be Colson Loveland, Tyler Warren, Caleb Johnson. Like I'm taking him over all of those guys in a win now situation.
Or if we're talking 2026, I mean, I've said it. I do not love the 2026 draft class. I know a lot can change, but even if you kick that pick out to next year, say your rookie draft's over and you're a contender, 2026, I'm not overly in love with, especially towards the back of the board.
Yeah, I like that. Take the swing on the 2026 first instead of, like you said, a lot of rookie drafts are probably over, except for I have one on Sunday. But I could see I could see that. I could see taking the swing on the 2026 first and see hope it lands late. Because if it lands at that 105 or earlier, I'm launching my phone into orbit. Right? Would you do that, Rich?
What did you say? What was the question?
2026 first. Would you throw that out there for Terry?
I mean, for a team like myself, because I'm at the back end of the first round, of course I would.
No, I think that's a great call by you. Before I get into my next buy, I am going to say that, again, if you want to enter the wheel to get a free hat, make sure you just leave a comment here and we'll enter you in. and we'll spin the wheel at the end. My next wide receiver buy is going to be second-year wide receiver Rome Odunze of the Chicago Bears. Last year, 54 receptions, 734 yards, 3 TDs. To be honest, guys, I didn't think it was as good as it was. I didn't think he hit over 700 yards receiving because I thought the Bears were so bad. All the additions that the Bears have made, whether it be, the pass catchers, the offensive line, I really think this benefits Rome Odunze, especially the offensive line play. Last year, he was 11th in deep targets at a 14.2 ADOT, which means, Jory, that if Caleb Williams has more time to look for Rome down the field with a clean pocket, those opportunities for Rome Odunze are going to be greater. Not only was he a really good deep target, he was 15th in the league in red zone targets. That is something we want to see from a big-bodied wide receiver. I'm not afraid. So I've mentioned it here. I really like Luther Burden. I don't think Luther Burden affects Rome Odunze at all. They both play polar opposite positions on the wide receiver line. Rome is your prototypical X, who I believe can line up everywhere, can line up in the slot as a big slot, can line up out wide. Burden's a prototypical slot wide receiver. And I think that just opens up everything for Rome. I think they brought Rome in to be the guy for Caleb Williams last year. We start to see those two build a rapport together. You see them all in videos together all the time. You see them, hanging out pre-draft or after the draft last year a lot. I think that Rome's value is only going to get higher than what it is right now. I'm not scared off by anything that they've done as pass catchers wise. Here are some trades that I've seen via Dynasty DNA, a great website, by the way. Trey Harris, a 27 second and a 2026 fourth for Rome Odunze. It's Rome Odunze all day for me.
All day.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae, this one's tough. Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift for Rome Odunze, and I almost said Cedric Benson. That is not right. That is the former Bengals running back. Trey Benson, Arizona Cardinals running back. So Rome and Trey Benson for Devontae Smith and DeAndre Swift.
Boy, that's tough.
I'm taking Smith and Swift.
Boy, man, that's tough. I mean, look, I love Devonta Smith. I mean, that guy does not get enough credit for what he does. Mm-hmm. We talked about Zay Flowers. He has a little bit more of elevation in his game than a Zay Flowers, no doubt about that. I mean, he can hit them back-end wide receiver one numbers. But, I mean, I just think that there could be more athletic upside there with Rome Odunze. So I think I lean that way. But I love Devonta Smith. I'm not pushing him under the bus by any means. I mean, I think he's a great value lots of times.
Yeah, I'm going to take Rome here because I think I love Devontae Smith, one of my favorite wide receivers in all the NFL. I think Rome just has a better athletical profile. He doesn't have an A.J. Brown on the other side for fantasy purposes, right? I think the perfect time to strike on Rome is now while his price is at that, 108. Like kind of like I would imagine they're same prices like a Rashee Rice, in my opinion. We'll go back to it. Rashee Rice or Rome Odunze, TJ?
Boy, that's tough. That's really close to me. I mean, in all honesty, look, I mean, I think I lean Rashee Rice, and I mean lean with a lowercase L. I'm not saying a capital L, but I mean, it's very, very close. But I think I will stick with Rashee Rice by a hair. But I love that price for Rome Odunze. I think that's a good value too.
Rich?
You know what? I think it's slightly easier decision for me. I'm going to go Rashee Rice. And I get to my I guess argument when you're finished your opening statement here. But I'm going to go with okay. So my thing is you're not scared of all the playmakers they brought into Chicago. I'm terrified of all the in a good way, I guess, because they've got a lot of mouths to feed. We talk about a lot of mouths to feed in Kansas City. We've got a ton in Chicago. And Loveland is not your prototypical tight end. He is going to line up all over the field. He's going to catch balls all over the field. I think with Luther Burden and DJ Moore were coming in, I think he's going to spread the ball around a lot more than you think. And I think I'd actually be on the opposite end and I would be selling Rome Odunze if I could.
Okay. We finally get our first disagreement here. I like it. TJ, what do you think of buying Rome?
Well, I mean, honestly, I like it. I mean, and I don't disagree with Rich. He made a lot of good points. There are a lot of people there, right? I mean, and Colston Loveland is a freak. I mean, he's someone that can do those things. Look, I mean, right now, my biggest concerns on the Bears, and it's pretty obvious, is DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet. Like, if I have them guys, you're done. I mean, you're in bad shape, right? I mean, It just is what it is. I think then you just try to settle it and sort it all out from there. I mean, look, DJ Moore is a guy that, I mean, doesn't seem real happy in Chicago. Does he eventually get out? I mean, that's a possibility. I like DJ Moore too this year as well. I mean, I think that if anyone could have the big numbers this year, I'm kind of looking at him, but I look at Rome down the line as being more of that dominant force. I mean, it might just take a little bit more time. I mean, we've seen it with JSN last year. A lot of people wanted to get off the bus, and I said it. I mean, Mike, last year I was a big Brian Thomas guy. I had Brian Thomas a little bit over Rome. It worked out for me, but I did not say he was a bad player. Like, I like this guy a lot. I think he'll be fine. But, I mean, I think for them prices, I'm willing to gamble. Again, I like him a lot more than a lot of these receivers in this draft class. I mean, it just isn't that close to me. But Rich made a valid point with the target share. Like, that is a big worry. And Rashee Rice, I mean, comparative, yeah. I mean, if he comes back healthy, he's going to be more of a hog there in Kansas City. That's how I feel. I agree with that. But I do like Rome as a buy. I really do.
I think if anybody is the alpha in that wide receiver room, I think it's Rome, just from the play style, the way he can line up pretty much everywhere on the field. I think Rome has a chance to be the number one target in that offense from, with a hopefully blue chip quarterback in Caleb Williams. TJ, who do you got for your next wide receiver buy?
Well, we're going to go in the north. We're going to stay in the north, and we're going to go a little further north because I'm going to go up to the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm going to go with Jordan Addison, wide receiver, Minnesota Vikings. We're talking about Devonta Smith and guys like that and Zay Flowers. Jordan Addison's reliable as reliable gets, guys. I mean, look, TJ Hawkinson, a little bit older, dealing with some injury issues, doesn't seem like he's quite himself. I mean, he's someone that could get it back, but at the same token, man, Jordan Addison was really leaned on last year by the Minnesota Vikings in a lot of different situations. 23-year-old receiver. Does he have a place in Minnesota? Maybe he goes somewhere else and even becomes a better fit somewhere else down the road, but we see 2 wide receiver 2 finishes out of him pretty much back-to-back, rookie year, sophomore year, stable, consistent. 110 for Jordan Addison. That is a no-brainer to me. That's not even close, especially given this draft class where some of these guys are. Again, look, I know I'm getting a good, solid wide receiver 2 in Jordan Addison in a sexy offense in Minnesota. You're just rolling the dice on guys like Trey Harris, Jaden Higgins, and I like them players, but, I mean, you're really hoping they turn into Jordan Addison basically where you're getting them, and I know what I'm getting for a 23-year-old wide receiver. Actually, I made 2 trades this year. The 110 and I think the 304 I got Jordan Addison, and the 111 and 2/3 I got Jordan Addison. So all day long, if you can get them for them prices, I love it. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but he is the stability and the pillar of stable production.
Yeah, I love that call out. I think guys like him and Zay are in the same kind of tier for me. And I think, it's crazy to think that he's been a wide receiver 2 both years in a row. You don't really think of that. A guy that, made Kenny Pickett a first-round pick in the NFL draft a couple of years ago. Let's not forget. Is pretty much the reason why that happened. Former Biletnikoff winner, not to mention. In an offense with Justin Jefferson, and fits that like a glove as a really reliable wide receiver 2. Great route runner, very quick, pretty fast. I don't think his 40 time was as good as his actual game speed. But I really like Jordan Addison. I think I just actually traded for him, and it's actually funny. I forget what the actual swap of picks was in this startup that me and Rich are in. It was essentially, and I'm just kind of going off without the picks here, Jordan Addison and RJ Harvey for Terry McLaurin and Chase Brown. I think I'm very happy with my side of getting Addison and RJ Harvey. And I still really like Terry McLaurin, but the way my team is set up right now with a young kind of upside wide receiver core, getting a guy like RJ Harvey also helps me. I really like Jordan Addison's price. Went in at the 8-1 in our startup. I love that. Rich?
No, I agree with everything you guys are saying. He's a wide receiver 2 in Minnesota, but he really seems like he could break out and maybe be a wide receiver 1 somewhere else. But, the unknown is how he's going to get the ball from J.J. McCarthy. So with that, does he find a guy that, hey, that might be, my guy, and he gets the ball? I think I would take the chance on him for sure. So I agree.
Yeah. You get another win here, TJ. Both of us agree with you.
I appreciate that. And honestly, like Rich said, it is a little bit of worry about McCarthy because, look, I didn't love the tape of him coming out either. But we've seen Josh Dobbs look great. We've seen Sam Darnold look great. It's Kevin O'Connell. It's his system. It's whatever they're doing. Yeah. But I said it. Like, I could throw to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Like, good Lord, let me go out there. Like, I would love the best glory of throwing the ball to these guys. So, I mean, look, and one last thing I want to make a point on. I always say I don't trust Steeler assets. I love Minnesota assets when it comes to fantasy football. And they are a team. Yes, they have not won the Super Bowl. They have not had great playoff success. But if you look back through the history of the NFL the last 50 years, the top 3 in winning percentage, Minnesota's there.
Yeah, just can't get the job done, unfortunately.
That's it. That's it.
I really like that's a great call out by you. I think, guys like him and Zay Flowers are just so undervalued in the dynasty community because, and I don't know if I've ever said this. I think people are too hype on buying the high-end assets that they forget about the mid-tier guys that are still super valuable. Obviously, we all want the Justin Jeffersons, the Amon-Ra St. Browns, and Malik Neighbors. We want all those guys, obviously. Sure. But the likelihood of you having all those dudes on your roster, unless you've sucked for like 7 years in a row, and if you are, you need to do something about it. You still need these mid-tier guys, and I think people underestimate that fact in Dynasty. I think we're always shooting for the stars when you could just hang out on Earth, get the Jordan Addisons, get the Zay Flowers.
We don't have to all be Katy Perry going to the moon, man.
And honestly, that's a great call, Mike. Like, I call them guys glue guys. When you want to win, you need the glue, and they somehow provide it every year for you. I mean, we see it down the stretch. When you need them, they're there, and that's what matters.
For sure. Rich, who do you got as your next wide receiver?
You might as well send me to the chair. I know I'm going to get killed on this one. A guy that I love, dude, is a clear-cut number 1 wide receiver for that Mr. Drizzy Drake May, and that's Stephon Diggs.
Oh God,
dude,
we've had this argument already.
Dude, 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons until his 2024 season, and he tore his ACL, obviously, but he was on his way to his 7th. I think he had, 424 or 524 yards until he tore his ACL. I imagine that's the reason why, he signed in New England to be the number 1 guy. You can get him for cheap because everyone's terrified of his Achilles. I think in the startup, I got him in like the fucking 20th round.
I'm looking right now what that is.
But Drake May has been searching for a guy to be his number 1. Your boy Javon Baker, he might as well take up being an actual Baker. Jalen Polk, he better, find
take up polka dancing.
Take up polka music. He could be the polka king of the Midwest with Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. I'm telling you, Stephon Diggs is going to finish with 1,000 yards this season, and you can get him for dirt cheap. What is stopping him besides the ACL tear last year? What was stopping him?
Yeah, besides like he's 30 some odd years old with an ACL.
What's that mean? Wait. So what? Number 1, so the hell what? 2, how come old running backs can have a resurgence, but old wide receivers
Derrick
can't?
Henry ain't coming off an ACL injury though.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I get that, but I'm telling you, he's going to have a resurgence, and not even a resurgence. He was well on his way. And then tore his ACL. And it fucking happens, man.
Yeah, by the way, you got him.
Well, what can you get for what can you trade for him? Like what do you
on the calculator, 301 is even. So 301 Stephon Diggs right now is even.
So would you rather have 301 or Stephon? Kevin died at from that was what's that movie with you got My Girl? I never seen it, but I always laugh at him. He's like, he can't see without his glasses on. Like, who dies from getting stung by bees? Anyway.
We can't let Rich get off the rails because this is
No, the Poker King. Remember in Home Alone when he was in the back? She was in the back with a
John Candy. It was John Candy.
Try it. And she's like, no, dude, I don't want to play your fucking clarinet.
Yeah, so the 13th round is where you drafted him, Rich. So
and I felt like a fucking rat scallion when I came out with him, dude. I was like, yes. I was excited. I'm like, dude, who are you getting at 301?
The tight ends in our rookie drafts.
Yeah, there's fucking 300 of them there. You just got Gunnar Helm in the 22nd round.
Yeah, but he's not a third. What I'm talking, like the third round pick guys are like your Mason Taylors, your Terrence Fergusons, your Elijah Arroyos. If I'm talking tight end premium at the 301, I don't know.
Dude,
man,
listen, if we're going tight end premium, I went to the championship with Jonnu Smith in my flex position. Come on.
Oh, don't get TJ started. We're gonna
dude, I got a Jonnu Smith fan here too. Oh my god.
I was preaching all last year, so
nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted him. Dude was racking up 35 points every week. I'm like, all right.
What a mistake. What a mistake. But let me say this. Let me say this, though. 301, I mean, if you're a contender, well, one thing Rich has got going for him here is like the target share, right? I mean, like we don't know. The big question mark's the ACL injury. I mean, what's going to happen as far as like timetable? Will it be like week 4 or 5 when he's back, or will it be more like week 10 or 12? But again, I mean, he could give you a little bit of production going down towards the playoff run. But, I mean, there is going to be a healthy target share there in New England, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, who do you got? Kyle Williams. You got Stephon Diggs. You got Hunter Henry, who I think we actually all kind of like, to be honest with you. Who am I missing? Travion Henderson, Polk, Baker, Boutte. Yeah, I mean, really, that wide receiver room is really – Demario Douglas, by the way, underrated. I just don't know why they don't love him there. I guess for the 301. But listen, I don't know if I can –
Who the hell are you getting at 301?
Chev is saying he's already running and cutting at full speed. Diggs is still him. If he's playing Z, I'm all in. Yeah, listen.
Finally, dude.
I really don't want to agree. I really don't want to agree on this one because I don't feel comfortable with him.
It's okay over here, man. It's cool.
I don't feel comfortable with that. How old is he now? 31? Is he
31?
He's 31. Coming off an ACL tear. I don't know. I'm gonna go against you on this one, Rich. You know, I can't.
Right there, pal. Right there. I knew you didn't like him, but
listen, it's not that I don't like him. I think. Do you really think like you could go out there and get him for the 301? Like, is that you think? Obviously, what they're
fucking try right now.
Obviously, that's what Keep Trade Cut is saying, right? And that could be right about it. But I think people are excited about him being in New England, right? Now, if that price jumps to the 211, are you doing that?
Probably, yeah. I think he's going to be the number one, man. I think he's going to be the number one. And I think he's going to – it's the opposite of what you're saying. I think people were terrified of him because when he signed that deal, I've seen tweet after tweet after tweet. I'm like, oh, my God, that much? Like –
So I'll side with you a little bit on this, Rich, just a little bit, because here's the thing. Number one, you said you loved Jonnu Smith. When you said that instantly got my mind in a good place. Let me say this. I mean, 211, 212. Yeah, I mean, that's starting to get a little steep. But the same token, like if that's what it takes to get it done and you really want this guy, I don't hate it. Because look, to me, when you get struck out looking, you feel like an idiot. I mean, that's when you spend too much money. When you get struck out swinging, it's like, hey, you know what? I knew what I was getting into. It's not a big deal. I went down swinging. That's kind of how I approach this with this trade. Like it's later, Stephon Diggs for that kind of price. Okay, if I lose out on the 211, 212, 301, is it really going to kill me that bad? So that's kind of where I'm at as far as my mindset on it. And if he can even give us 80% Stephon Diggs in New England with that target share, I mean, down the stretch, he could be a valuable piece for you. So, I mean, I don't hate it. But this one is really close. I have to say it's teeter-tottering, but I will side with you, Rich.
Yes, there we go.
Just call me. I'm going to the haters ball on this one.
I noticed, dude.
I'm going to say no. I call what was the dude? Buck Nasty. What was his name in the haters ball? You know the haters ball episode on the Chappelle Show?
Oh yeah, Silky Johnson over here.
Yeah, I can't buy in on a guy 31 years old with an ACL. But let's get into the tight end, the dreaded tight end position. And we'll go with my first case here. Ladies and gentlemen of the Dynasty Jury, I am going to make a case for Evan Ingram as my first buy. Meet me at the haters ball then, Rich. I mean, I think you just stole him in the draft too, Rich, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't you draft him in this league, in this startup that we're doing right now? Where did you get him?
I did. Let me look.
The 9th round in a tight end premium?
I'm trying to trade for Stephon Diggs right now. Hold on.
In the 9th round of a startup in a tight end premium league. I love that. I love the fit in Denver with Sean Payton as the middle of the field option for Bo Nix. I really think, like, last year we forget Evan Ingram was looking really, really good up until he got hurt with Trevor Lawrence. It's just unfortunate that he got banged up. You know, he missed the rest of the season. I think in the Sean Payton offense as the, what is it called? The Joker role. I think it could be wheels up for Evan Ingram. I think we could see a top 8 fantasy finish. I think he could be the guy who gets all the reception, a lot of receptions. I don't think he hits, what was that, 2 years ago where he had like 100 some odd receptions or something crazy
let me check my notes on my tight end buys because we have the same fucking one. No, 100 he had in the past 2 seasons 112.
112, which is insane, right? Mm-hmm. An insane number for a tight end. And he's going to the perfect position. I think the best time to get him is in your startups. Rich got him in the 9th round, which is great value in my opinion, especially tight end premium. But when I looked at the ADP for him beforehand, he was at the 136 as a pick 136. I think the time for now to get Evan Ingram is to strike in the startup drafts. And in reality, what are you really giving up for him? You want to talk about another guy who's probably worth a late second, even in the tight end premium leagues. I think you can give up to 210, 208 to get him. And I would be gladly doing that. I've seen some trades on Dynasty Daddy. You know, we mentioned earlier, and Chev wanted to throw that back in there. He missed that part of the show.
That sounds like a porn site, dude. That's such an insane name. I got to check that out.
It's a great website to show what actual trades have happened in Dynasty leagues. Evan Ingram and a third for Jaden Reed in a tight end premium league.
Since it's tight end premium, it's a little bit closer. I just tend to lean Reed there because I think you can get more production, you know, out of other guys. Not just saying like tight end's a position that's hit or miss to me. Like I like Evan Ingram a lot, and I am totally on the plane with you to buy Evan Ingram. But I think that's a little too hefty for me just because like we see these guys go up and down all the time, these tight ends. I see more consistency around that wide receiver 2 production out of Jaden Reed. I think I just hold that, but I love the Evan Ingram buy, Mike, especially for them prices. And, you know, as long as he's healthy, that's the only thing. If this guy's healthy, it'll be probably a 8 to 12 finish for him this year. I mean, I'm almost willing to bet anything on it.
What if, TJ, let me throw it to you this way when it comes to Jaden Reed, that Jaden Reed trade. Say Jaden Reed's like your 4th wide receiver, and you're kind of like a tight end away. Does that flip the switch for you a little bit? I know we look at these trades in a vacuum, right? We really don't put, you know, names to faces, like what teams actually look like. But say, for instance, Jaden Reed's like your 4th guy. Say you've got like, I don't know, CeeDee Lamb, Zay Flowers, and throw in another wide receiver here. Jaden Reed's your 4th guy. Would you make that deal if you feel like you're a tight end away in a tight end premium league?
I mean, yeah, you could make more of a case for it then, absolutely, because I'm always a big advocate of doing whatever it takes to win. Like, I hate these moves where everyone's just so worried about my dynasty outlook, this and that. Like, we play fantasy football to win. I don't care what kind it is, if it's redraft, best ball, dynasty. Like, I want to win. So, yeah, I mean, you could make more of a case in a situation like that. I just think you got to be a little bit careful here because, look, I mean, he is a guy that doesn't have the cleanest bill of health. I mean, luckily, those couple years in Jacksonville, he was great. And then last year, we seen the injury bug pop up again. So, I mean, as long as this guy's healthy, I have no doubts 8 to 12. Yes, you can make a case in a situation like that, Mike. If I feel like that'll put me over the top, yeah, I mean, I might reconsider at that point. But you just got to be a little bit careful, I feel. But I'm definitely on board with you. I've been preaching about Evan Ingram all off season as well, and I like that move.
Rich, what do you think on Ingram? Yes or no?
So Ingram was one of my buys. I guess we should have talked about this before. So I have Evan Ingram here. So I'm in with you on that. Only thing I can add, the past 2 seasons, he's had 957 yards, which kind of out of the slot. So that was kind of big for a tight end. And Sean Payton draws up plays for tight ends 52.3% of the times. That's according to NFL Next Gen stats. I think that kind of draws up a perfect storm for Evan Ingram. And I think he's going to flourish with the Broncos. But we'll wait and see. But it's a buy for me.
So but you and I actually agree on this one. It's good to see that we're here on this one. So we'll let TJ go with his first tight end buy.
Okay, so I didn't bring any protection with me as far as like, any kind of weapons or anything like that. So we're going to go down to the heart of Texas right now. And I know you guys ain't going to like this.
Oh, God.
I'm going to buy
the Texans.
Jacob Ferguson, the tight end from the Dallas Cowboys, because here's my theory on this, right? I know you guys are Eagles fans. I know it kills you, but we talk about this all the time on the Dynasty DNA shows that we do, everything that we do on the network. Like, Jimmy is a tight end whisperer. Mike knows this. I mean, he's a good friend of mine, and he always says it. Like, to me, the tight end position has to be schemed. They have to have a route, a role. We see Jake Ferguson get used in Dallas. I mean, that's the big thing. Right now, you get Dak Prescott back fully healthy. You could get this guy for a pair of socks right now. I mean, at one time, you could trade him for a back end first. Now you can get him for a back end second, a high third, them type things, maybe a couple thirds. You could get this guy for them prices. He will be schemed in this offense. Look, I mean, I think everyone's a little bit concerned too with George Pickens going, CeeDee Lamb there. Yes, they're going to see a ton of work, but this guy, Jake Ferguson, does his best work in the red zone. And we see Dak Prescott hyper target the tight end in a team that likes to scheme the tight end. I think we could see a back end tight end one performance from Jake Ferguson again, kind of like what we've seen in 2023. I'm going to say probably going to put right around 8 to 12. I could see that, but I'm going to say he's going to probably score 8 to 9 touchdowns this year. And I think that's what propels him. So I'm going to go with that. It's a cost efficient buy. I know you guys don't like it, but I think that it's going to be a good buy for you. And I think it's a low cost, and I'm always hunting for guys that can put up numbers, and he's done it in the past.
So, we mentioned this startup a couple times in this draft. Rich took Ingram at the 9.6. I missed out on that, so I decided to wait and take the guy you just mentioned, Jake Ferguson, at the 12.8 overall in a startup. I think that is pretty decent value for, a guy that gets pretty heavily targeted. Let's look at some of the numbers here. He was wide receiver or tight end 9 overall just a few years ago. Wide receiver, tight end 34 or tight end 25 in PPR points last year. I know that he dealt with some injuries. I know the Dallas Cowboys offense was all sorts of banged up. Obviously, we know that for sure here in Philadelphia. But I like what you said earlier, TJ, about Dak Prescott being the ultimate tight end guy, right? The ultimate tight end quarterback. We've seen him do it with that Dalton Schultz. We've seen him do it now with Terrence Ferguson. I think that continues. I think, a guy like George Pickens, who is a boundary wide receiver who takes the top off an offense, takes the top off a defense, helps a guy like Jake Ferguson just, be the safety blanket for Dak Prescott. So I like this call out by you. He's a very cheap tight end buy. I like this. Rich, what do you think?
Okay, so I think it's a little closer for me. It's kind of, I'm on the fence. I just kind of need to see what we know. We talked about how Dak loves the tight ends, right? And we know Brian Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator, but is it going to be the same offense that Brian Schottenheimer had as the offensive coordinator? Is he going to be calling the plays, or I don't know who their offensive coordinator is, but is it going to be his offense? You know what I mean? So I think that is going to play a big part and a big role in the kind of production we see out of Turd Ferguson. I mean, but I kind of think, we have to kind of wait and see. But at that price, Mike, you said you got him at what, 12th?
12th round, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, why not? And also, like you were saying, TJ, at the third round or back end 3, I think why not throw a dart at it?
Yeah. And, honestly, Rich, like my thinking on it is too, like the touchdown production's got to be there, right? I just have a feeling. I have a feeling it's going to be because look, we know Dallas's defense is shit. We know that. I mean,
I did.
There's going to be a lot of shootout games going back and forth, and I think that's going to benefit a guy like Jake Ferguson. I really do.
I will say real quick, you mentioned the Dallas Cowboys defense. I hate to say it, I kind of like what they did in the draft. They drafted the dude from East Carolina, Shannon Rebel, corner, big physical corner. I like that pick by them. He fell because he had an injury history. I love Ezra Rockboo from Boston College, dude they drafted. That dude's got a high motor, and if him and Micah Parsons are coming off the edge, it's kind of scary. It might not be right away, but it could happen. God.
That's all right. I didn't mean to cut you off. God.
I kind of like what they've done defensively in Dallas, especially in this past draft. Rich, what were you going to say?
So I got kind of a maybe out of a left field question, but do you think there's any funny business with Joe Milton potentially playing or finding his way in there? And dude, why would they trade for him? That's why I listen. It's Jerry Jones, dude. I'm telling you.
You're doing this again. I can't believe we're talking about Joe Milton again on this show with you.
I like Joe Milton over Drake May, to be honest with you, but you were like going to crucify me for that.
You're insane. You're absolutely insane.
But it happened now.
He's a fine backup, is what Dustin's saying. He's a fine backup. They also traded for Trey Lance, and look how the fuck that turned out too. So, no.
Crazier things have happened.
But can I just say this as a closing argument though? Like, this is a situation like, let's say Jake Ferguson comes out and he finishes as a tight end 1 this year, like kind of like what I'm hoping for, right? You could sell him again and get a boatload. I mean, like, this is just recouping value. Like, because to me, these back end tight ends are so they just fluctuate. I mean, like, you could always just look around and find guys. So, I mean, look, just straight value. You could really cash in if this really happens. I mean, this is what we call up in value. So,
yeah, so it seems like Rich is the one that is the hung jury on this one.
No, you know what? I'll go with it for the back end 3. Why not?
Yeah, in the 12th round, really, you can't hate it. To be honest with you, I took him there. I didn't feel thrilled about it, but I felt like it was decent value. We'll go with now. Yeah. So we'll go with your tight end buy, Rich. Who is it?
All right.
Other than Evan Ingram, obviously.
So my first, let me get to me notes here. That's going to be the Baltimore Ravens down the road guy, Isaiah Likely. I think Isaiah Likely is a guy 25 years old who is, you're going to see at the end of this season, they have a decision to make. Do they go bring back Mark Andrews? Do they bring back Isaiah Likely? Do they bring back both? I think the answer is they bring back Isaiah Likely and he steps into that tight end 1 role. Like I said, he's more of a down the road kind of buy. Both he and Andrews are going to their final year of the contract. Likely 25, Andrews 30, going to be 31. I think he kind of fills those cleats like almost instantaneously and takes over as a tight end 1.
I could say it. I kind of like that.
He's cold. Is that good cold or bad cold? Go warm him up.
I think it's good cold. I'm going to go with good cold.
I'm going to go good cold too then.
I like this.
Chef drafted him in our league. I think that's a good cold.
Likely walk so Phantom could fly is what Chev said. Yeah, I mean, very similar players. I could see it's going to be hard for me to think Mark Andrews is not a Raven, right? I feel like that is Lamar's guy. I feel like that has been, the main talk of that Baltimore Ravens, pass catchers.
2-point conversion attempt. I don't know, dude. He might be a.
Everybody remembers the drop, but they forget he was still tight end 6 in points last year, especially after he came in hot after that car accident towards the middle of the season there. I could see a scenario where Isaiah Likely is the guy next year, though. So this is a good preemptive strike on getting him now while he's still cheaper because once Andrews is gone, whether he retires or moves on, the price for Likely goes up. And whether you want to flip him at that point because of that, that's great. Whether he's just your tight end 1 going forward, that's also great because this is an offense that likes to target the tight end, and Lamar loves to target the tight end. So this is a very good preemptive strike by you. TJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think at worst, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get tight end 14 to 18. And I think the big part of that is just the lack of pass catching in Baltimore, right? I mean, outside of Zay Flowers, they really don't got any serious receiving threats other than Mark Andrews. And look, let's be honest, Mark Andrews is a guy that has not had the cleanest bill of health through the years. I mean, we've seen injury troubles. So if he goes out, that's even more targets going to likely. And again, they'll make a decision on these tight ends. One of them will be moving on. I assume it's going to be Andrews at some point, just given the age. But I do agree. I mean, it is Lamar's guy. I think that he wants him around at least as long as he can be there. But likely's there in the waiting, man. And this guy is an athlete. And I love athletic tight ends. If I can't get one of the big boys, and I'm kind of going dumpster diving a little bit, give me some of these guys that are either athletes or touchdown scorers. So Isaiah Likely, I like that.
Yeah, well, we both likely agree with you here, Rich. So this is a good call out by you.
I don't know what I was talking about. Chev didn't draft him. I drafted him at the 10-4. 10-7.
You don't even know what your team is. One last call out here. One last call out here before I get into my next tight end buy. Enter a comment here to enter the wheel for the free hat giveaway. One last call for that. But let's get into my next tight end buy. Believe it or not, gentlemen of the jury, I'm going to go with a rookie here, a guy that I really like coming into the Seattle Seahawks. That is going to be Elijah Arroyo coming from Miami. He's constantly falling into the third round of drafts, rookie drafts, whether it be in tight end premium, non-tight end premium. Tight end premium, if he's falling to the third round, I am willing to give up a 26-second getting him plus to get Elijah Arroyo on my roster. This is the year you want to strike on the tight ends because this is, the third round value for them is solid to me, very good to me. This is a guy that's going to line out wide. This is a guy that's going to eat the seam in the offense in Seattle. I'm very excited for Elijah Arroyo. He's basically a 2-round cheaper version of Colston Loveland, right? The biggest issue for him is the health concerns. He's had it all through his career in Miami, right? Will he be able to be healthy? That remains to be seen. We can't predict health here, obviously. But, if you want a wide receiver playing tight end, the athletic tight end like TJ mentioned, a guy in the third round, Elijah Arroyo, I'm giving up 26 seconds for him all day, every day, getting a slight boost on top of that. I just can't wait to see this dude tear up in Seattle. What do you guys think?
I love it. I love it, man. I love Elijah Arroyo. I mean, going back to the scouting process, Mike, I was kind of high on him. And I do like the fact that he lands in Seattle. Noah Fant ain't going to be hard to dislodge from that starting job. Could happen really quick. Look, I like Cooper Kupp. But he's kind of showing his age, and he's going to be a little bit more injury prone. I mean, we've seen it in the past. And then you got Sam Darnold, right? I mean, a guy that is going to be more of an efficient passer. He's going to be looking for guys maybe underneath a little bit more. That could be Elijah Arroyo. So I love it. I'm fully supporting Elijah Arroyo. I think he's a sneaky guy, and we talk about athletes. You're right. I love him as an athlete. He's got a ton of athletic upside. Rich, I'm excited to see what you think.
Well, see, you know what? I'm a University of Miami fan. I love Miami. I always wanted to go to University of Miami. Mike knows the backstory. But, Mike, we just talked about how terrified you are of ACL injuries. You're terrified of ACL.
He's also 24. He's
so
also only 22 years old.
You're not afraid of ACL injuries. You're afraid of the age.
Yeah,
we can acknowledge that.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Listen,
I said, hold on. I said Stephon Diggs is 31 coming off an ACL injury. We're talking about how old is Elijah?
He's
Arroyo?
Probably like 23, 22,
He's
22. Okay. But besides injuries, I think, TJ laid it out pretty well. Noah Fant's probably not going to be too hard to beat. He's stepping into potentially a tight end 1 in Seattle. And I think with that, you said you can get him, in the third round? You said you were getting him in?
Every time.
I think that's kind of like a no-brainer for me. Like, who else really are you going to take in the third round? I think that's a pretty sweet spot for him, and especially walking in to the perfect situation in Seattle where you've got a guy that you're not going to have to work too hard on beating. I kind of think it's kind of the perfect storm for him. So, yeah,
I think even TJ Hawkinson last year when missing some time looked really good with Sam. Obviously, we're talking two different offenses here, but Sam Darnold targeted him, and I believe it was like 6.5 times per game. So that's a decent number. We might not see that with a rookie tight end right away, obviously, but we're playing the long game here. We're playing a guy, you know, I can't wait to see what he does. A guy that lined up, what did I have here on my notes? 54% in the slot. A big slot, a guy who like just destroys the seam, the middle of the field. Elijah Arroyo, man, 26-second all day, every day to get him on something on top. Would you agree with that? Would you do that, Rich? I don't know if you said yeah.
Yeah, you know what? And I think, like I said, I think the biggest thing is here for him is the injury. You know, he's got the right spot. You're getting him in the right round. Everything is perfect. But, you know, like you said, the long game, does he have the ability to take you to the long game? Or are the injuries going to come up and sneak up on him? I think that's the biggest issue.
He was a top 50 pick, if I'm not mistaken, too, right? He was actually 50th overall. So yes, he was a top 50 pick.
It was close. Yeah, I knew it was close. Funny.
That is the perfect spot for him to be the 50th overall pick. And they said this is what Seattle was saying after the draft, that he would have been a top 20, top 15 pick if there was not an injury concern. And Mike,
real quick,
up to that. Go ahead.
Real quick, I heard the same thing about Sidney Jones. Just to tell you, just saying. I heard the same thing here.
Don't bring
I heard
that
the same
name
thing,
up.
and I think it's the same fucking injury.
True.
Same injury. Was it ACL or hamstring? It was something.
His was the Achilles. Sidney's was the Achilles. And for a corner, that's pretty devastating because backpedaling and stuff.
Listen, but I've heard, you know, if he didn't have the injury, he would have been atop this. So I take that with a grain of salt, is what I'm saying.
Fuck the salt. TJ, who is your next tight end by?
So the jury, let me talk to you here for a minute because there's two guys that I just want to bring up, just fast, honorable mention guys. If you can get them for the right price, their price has gone up a little bit in some leagues, but Jonnu Smith, we brought him up earlier. If you can still get him for a bag of peanuts, get him. I mean, that would be a great pickup. I think he's going to have a chance to have another high-end season. Hunter Henry's another one. I mean, look, this guy's a tight end one every year, but the problem is some of these guys, you're starting to get a little bit more savvy on some of these players, so maybe you can't get them cheap, but all I'm saying is if you can get them cheap, I'm talking late second to any kind of third-round compensation, you can get either of them tight ends, go get them. But I want to go to the thrift store because them guys, I wanted to bring them up and just tell the listeners them are great options. And, you know, Rich is a thrift store guy. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of the barrel for some people that are really tight end needy, maybe don't have a lot of draft capital and want to gamble on somebody. I'm staying in the NFC East, and I know you guys ain't going to like this one either. And it is a super long shot, but I talk about athleticism. I'm going to go with Theo Von Johnson in the New York Giants team. Look, Russell Wilson's a low A-dot guy. I can tell you all about it. I watched him last year. Other than the moon ball, he's going to throw it underneath. Maybe check downish type stuff to a guy like Theo Johnson. We know Jameis Winston loves to target the tight ends. Ask David Njoku. We've seen that in Cleveland. So that's another positive, right? We got a young quarterback in Jackson Dart. If he sees the field, who's a young quarterback's best friend, a tight end? Look, Theo Johnson's a long shot. You could get him for $403 right now. That's kind of the level action where it's at. But it's a good gamble for that price, guys. If some of these other guys are gone, look, you can get Gunnar Helm in the 5th round. Mike, I know you've done it. I've done it. So, he'll probably still be there. So maybe gamble on him later. But for the 403, if some of these other guys are off the board, like your Arroyos, like your Ferguson, some of the guys that we mentioned that are going around there, right? Why not gamble on Theo Johnson with 3 new quarterbacks? Look, it definitely could blow up on you, but this is a nothing trade. If you lose out, you're not losing anything. And I do this because there's so many tight end needy teams out there. If you want to go to the bottom of the barrel and have someone that could elevate themselves, have one really good season, this guy has the athletic profile to do it. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'm kind of willing to go at the bottom of the barrel if I have no other options. Someone I'm willing to try.
Yeah, I like what Jamie says here real quick. Love Theo Johnson, crazy athletic. The Giants just have an affinity with these athletic tight ends. Daniel Bellinger a few years ago, Theo Johnson this last year, Thomas Fidone from Nebraska this year as well. So they do have a type in tight end, so that's pretty funny. I kind of like this as well, especially with how, 4th round pick, you're taking a gamble no matter what. You're getting Damian Martinez, who was a 7th round pick in that range. You're getting Torrey Horton. Why not take a guy who, has been in the NFL, has played in the NFL, produced slightly. I'm not going to say he was, a top end fantasy asset or anything like that. But I'm just looking at his game log here real quick. Couple games of double-digit numbers, right? With more stability in that offense for Theo Johnson with, better quarterback play than he had last year. Could mean an uptick in production for him. I like this call out by you. I had an honorable mention wide receiver from the Giants I was going to mention. Maybe I'll throw it out there before we're done here. So I do like this Theo Johnson call. Rich?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Theo Johnson. I think he's a tight end one there. You got guys who love to dump it off to the tight end. And for 403, what the hell are you getting? Is the 403 pick worth the pick, or is it worth, throwing the dart and maybe taking a guy, especially in tight end premium, that could blow up? And I think I'm going with the Johnson pick there.
Yeah, pause. I kind of like.
Good call by you, dude. Look at you.
I kind of. I can't hate that one. I actually put this in the FFU Discord earlier today, which I should have put that in the description of the show. I'm a shitty host. Just putting that out there again.
Idiot.
Theo Johnson and Thomas Vidone could be a very nice, tight end room for them. Both highly athletic. It's kind of interesting to see what almost said Denver, what New York is doing as a pass catching assets that they have. My honorable mention while Rich is gone for wide receiver was going to be Wan'Dale Robinson, a guy you want to talk about you can get for a third in PPR format. I'm throwing it all day, every day to get Wan'Dale Robinson on my roster. We talk about until Rich gets back, is he really going to help you win a championship? Yeah, to be honest with you, because you're going to take a gamble on a rookie who's not going to help, more than likely not going to help you win a championship in the third round. Why not throw it to somebody who was a wide receiver 3 last year in PPR format? Has Wan'Dale hit his growth spurt yet? No, damn it, he hasn't. But I love Wan'Dale Robinson. Quick, twitchy, strong after the catch. He plays bigger than his size. So, maybe he hasn't hit the growth spurt yet, but he's a big dude at heart. Rich, do you have an honorable mention tight end since we both agree?
Dude, you know what?
Evan Ingram?
No, every time, like you guys do, any show I do, there's always an honorable mention, and I'm like, nah, I don't have one. I'm like, look at me. Nope, I don't have one.
I was going to throw one out there too, and you mentioned it earlier, TJ. Hunter Henry, 140 targets last year for Wan'Dale. Again, wide receiver 36 overall.
You guys definitely asked, is there extra credit on every test? Like when you were in school, like, is there any extra credit questions? Me, I was like, nope. Let's just go, dude.
Hope
you
for the
said
best.
2. I come up with 2. You come up with 15. I don't know what the hell to tell you.
Rich was too busy breaking up crayons to throw at people in grade school to worry about extra credit.
And look where it got me. Got me right here talking to you guys.
Yeah, exactly. I like that Hunter Henry call by you, TJ. Tight end 12 last year, tight end 16 points per game. Was Drake May's safety blanket last year, especially in the red zone. So I really like that call up. But gentlemen, we're going to have to end this podcast at some point with how much fun I'm having. But let's do the giveaway real quick. How do I do this? 3 people.
You got 4 people on the wheel.
No,
a quarter.
Shut up. We have a few people on the wheel here. Oh man, that is not what I wanted to do. But hold on.
You want me to spin around?
There we go.
There we go.
Hold on. Let me pull the share screen. There we go. I'm an old man at this. I just need to get the glasses.
We need to go to your local library to see if they have any like computer classes for you.
So we have a few. Shut the fuck up.
What the hell is the bottom of this? I don't need a certified Lincoln. Click the X.
This is from pickerwheel.com, not a sponsor.
Cool. I can't see the top half of it, but it's
we're gonna spin the damn wheel. I'm tired of listening to Rich. Here we go for the free hat. Who do we got?
Oh, look at that thing go. False. Jamie!
You're the winner of the free hat. The man who is just not a sponsor, 100% not a sponsor. Jamie, you were the winner of the free hat. I will be reaching out to you on Discord because I know you're in there. Again, one of the great fans that we have in the FFU, a great dynasty mind in his own right. So I'm very glad to see that he got this W here. So let's close this show out. I just want to say this was a great episode. I had a whole lot of fun. TJ, tell us where they can find you and what everything you got going on as I fuck up the graphics here.
Well, Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network, we do 2 to 4 shows a week usually. I mean, we're always doing something. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Pod, Stitcher, Amazon, any podcasting platform, really. You can find us on YouTube, Dynasty DNA over there. Follow us on Twitter at Dynasty DNA_. Mike joins us for a show. We do the Triple Threat podcast with our friend Wiz, the Alaska Scourge. You know, we're still dealing with some battles with him. We got to get it straightened out, Mike.
Eventually, one day. I love doing that Triple Threat podcast because it's just pretty much me and Wiz yelling at each other and you being the parent and making sure we don't, fight.
That's right. And stirring the pot a little bit. That's never a bad thing either.
For sure. But again, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Every single person that was involved in the spinning of the wheel, every person that watched, commented, I really appreciate it. Just some final notes I want to make here. Rich and I both really care about mental health. If you or someone is struggling with mental health, feel free to reach out to anybody, whether it be a friend, family member, one of us. We're always willing to talk. Mental health is something that's super important to us, and it should be super important to you. So if you need that help and that guidance, always reach out to somebody. You are loved by someone. Have a good night, everyone.
Peace.